On October 6, 1998, Matthew Shepard, a 21-year-old University of Wyoming student, was taken to a desolate area, tied to a fence, and beaten. He survived for several days after the assault but eventually succumbed to his injuries. Initially, the assailants, Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney, allegedly only planned on taking Shepard's money. But authorities believe that when they discovered he was gay, they decided to end his life. Shepard's shocking passing paved the way for LGBTQ acceptance. The world was outraged, and many gay celebrities came out in force, speaking out against crimes based on sexual orientation. The case, along with the 1998 case of James Byrd Jr., who was targeted based on his race, propelled legislation that seeks to punish those who have committed such actions above and beyond the normal punishment. In 2009, Obama finally passed the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act, which now includes victims based on gender or gender identity, sexuality, and disability. Matthew Shepard was only 21 years old when two men took his life. Shepard spoke 3 languages, had lived overseas, and according to friends, was a kind and friendly person. He was studying political science at the University of Wyoming in Laramie, Wyoming, at the time of his passing. Shepard was very interested in politics, and those who knew him thought he might grow up to be the president. While he was a bright, outgoing, and benevolent man, he was deeply depressed. He moved back to Laramie to be part of a community and to be surrounded by friends. His mother expressed that Shepard in part moved to the small town because he'd feel safer there after the previous assaults he had experienced in his youth. Aaron Kreifels, a fellow university student who was out for a bike ride, discovered Shepard approximately 18 hours after McKinney and Henderson left him. Kreifels found Shepard tied up, still unconscious. There was a giant gash in his head, and his face was covered in blood. Initially, the student thought Shepard's body was a scarecrow due to his small frame. The first police officer to arrive on scene, Officer Reggie Flutie, also assumed Shepard to be a teen. Flutie quickly got him off the fence and called for backup. At the time of rescue, Shepard was still alive. However, he passed on October 12. McKinney and Henderson, acquaintances of Matthew Shepard, were drinking at a local watering hole called the Fireside Bar, a popular hangout for Wyoming University students. Reportedly, the bar was a more liberal fixture in the area and known for having gay patrons. McKinney and Henderson ran into Shepard, and the 3 left the bar together. The 2 drove Shepard to a remote area, tied him to a fence in the freezing cold, and repeatedly beat him with the butt of a gun. Once he was tied up, they took his shoes and money. Shepard was beaten so badly his mother could only recognize him by a distinctive mark on his ear. There are multiple schools of thought as to the motivations of McKinney and Henderson. Some argue that Shepard was targeted because he was gay, others argue that he was targeted because he had allegedly made a pass at one of the men. McKinney's girlfriend, Kristen Price, claimed the 2 men wanted to teach Shepard a lesson about hitting on straight people, although she later recanted her statements. This was not the first time that Shepard had been assaulted. Several months prior to his passing, Shepard was involved in a confrontation with a bartender who claimed he was making a pass at him in Cody, Wyoming. During the incident, Shepard got his jaw busted. When an older friend asked Shepard how he retaliated, Shepard responded that he forgave them and went on with his life. During a trip in his senior year of high school, Shepard was also a victim of a Moroccan gang. He was repeatedly assaulted by the Moroccan group. As a result, Shepard reportedly experienced symptoms of PTSD. After leaving Shepard, McKinney and Henderson initiated a fight with 2 men who had slashed their tires. They jumped the 2 Hispanic men, and McKinney bashed one of the men in the head with the same gun they used on Shepard. One of the men hit McKinney in the head with a big stick, sending him to the hospital. McKinney later found himself in the same hospital as Shepard, although he was admitted prior. After the second altercation, Henderson went home and dumped his bloody clothing, with the help of his girlfriend, Chastity Pasley. But as the police processed the scene, they located a weapon and some of Shepard's belongings. After his release from the hospital, McKinney reportedly went to Price, confessing, "I've done something horrible. I deserve to die." McKinney and Henderson were apprehended and charged on multiple counts. Their girlfriends, Chastity Pasley and Kristen Price, were charged as accessories. The women had helped Henderson trash the bloody clothing, and they also gave their boyfriends false alibis. McKinney and Henderson pled guilty and were sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. In a merciful twist, it was Matthew Shepard's mother, Judy Shepard, who asked the judge to take the death sentence off the table. Dennis Shepard, Matthew's father, read a statement to the court, addressing his son's assailant. "I would like nothing better than to see you die. However, this is the time to begin the healing process. To show mercy to someone who refused to show any mercy. I am going to grant you life, as hard as it is for me to do so, because of Matthew." The men that accosted Shepard were already on the bad side of the law. Both McKinney and Henderson had prior arrests and reportedly troubled upbringings. McKinney, who had grown up in an abusive household, was in a juvenile detention center as a child. At the time of Shepard's passing, he was awaiting sentencing on a burglary of a KFC restaurant. Henderson had previous charges for drunk driving and other driving-related offenses. When he was 10 years old, he was taken away from his mother, Cindy Dixon. Her boyfriends would often beat him. In January 1999, roughly 3 months after Shepard's passing, Dixon had frozen after leaving a bar in Laramie, Wyoming, in a drunken stupor. The Westboro Baptist Church protested Shepard's funeral, citing religious freedom. According to the organization's website, Shepard was going to burn in hell for eliciting sins of the flesh. The organization was quick to point out that they did not necessarily condone the actions of McKinney and Henderson, but because of Shepard's life on earth, he would be damned. To counter-demonstrate the Westboro Baptist Church, Shepard's friend Romaine Patterson coordinated Angel Action, in which a group of individuals dressed like angels tried to block the negative rhetoric of protesters at Shepard's memorial service. Shepard's passing sparked outrage in the LGBTQ community. Celebrities such as Ellen DeGeneres, Dan Butler, and Anne Heche gave heart-wrenching speeches begging for an end to targeting gays. In October 2009, 11 years after Shepard's passing, President Barack Obama signed the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act into federal law. The Matthew Shepard Act allows the government to help local jurisdictions investigate and prosecute cases that may potentially involve targeted victims. The new legislation includes penalty enhancement statutes, which means they increase the penalty for an offense if the victim or target is intentionally selected for violence because of his or her personal characteristics. Wyoming is one of the few remaining states that has refused to change its legislation. As of 2019, there are no laws specifically prohibiting discrimination for sexual orientation. In 2013, a bill was defeated in the Senate that would ban discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. In 2014, the state finally recognized gay marriage. Even now, Wyoming is far from safe for people in the LGBTQ community. In 2015, a man in Casper, Wyoming had his teeth kicked in for cross-dressing. In December 2015, Trevor O'Brien was beaten by a group of men who called him out for being gay. O'Brien, only 20 years old, passed from self-inflicted injuries in March 2016. Shepard's parents, Judy and Dennis Shepard, have dedicated their lives to the Matthew Shepard Foundation. The foundation aims to empower change and destroy hate. They seek to encourage understanding, compassion, and acceptance. They also try to educate parents whose children may be questioning their sexuality. On October 12, 2018, 20 years after Shepard's passing, his remains were placed inside the crypt at Washington National Cathedral. Initially, Shepard's family opted to cremate him instead of conducting a burial because they were afraid his resting place would be desecrated due to the high-profile nature of the case. However, Dennis and Judy Shepard decided their son would be best remembered at the D.C. Cathedral. Gay equality activists were excited about the placement, as they believe fellow activists and allies can pay homage for both Shepard and the cause.